Hi again. We're looking at receptive skills, and so far we've chosen a good task, we've set it up and raised their interest, and we've taught any blocking vocabulary. So now let's move on to step 3, actually doing something with the text. So step 3 is where you get to do a teacherly job and set a task for them. It's a good idea to set a gist task first, something they can answer by looking quickly over the whole text and getting a general idea of all of it. The reason to set a task like this is that it's easier to read or to listen when you know what you're reading or listening for. It means you don't have to pay attention to or understand everything. To give you an idea of what a learner might feel like, imagine I give you a whole dictionary and I tell you just to read it. Well, that's a really difficult thing to do. And what you'd probably ask, very reasonably, is, what do you want me to find? Well, this is what you're doing by setting a clear task for your learners. You're limiting what they need to do and making it more manageable. Now again, this comes with a health warning. A good gist task, like a good man or a good woman perhaps, is hard to find. It's difficult to think of a question that asks about an overview of the text and not something specific. So with the unicorn text, for example, if I ask what was her favourite toy, then the chances are good that the question's answered in the first couple of sentences and they don't need to read or listen any further. There are a few ideas that are commonly used for gist questions that can work well. Checking predictions is a good idea, for example. So you can give them the topic of the text or the title before they see the text and ask them to discuss in pairs or groups what they think it'll be about, so they guess what they think it'll be about. You get some feedback, you could write some of the predictions up on the board, and then of course you ask them to read the text quickly and see if their predictions were right. This does tend to give a fairly good overview. Another task, another example you could use is to take the title from the text and make up another 2 titles. They have to be plausible but wrong, and there's a skill in doing that too. And then ask the learners to read quickly and see which they think is the real title, or the most appropriate title. So moving on, step 4 is to let them actually do the gist task. With a gist task, it's probably best just to leave them to it. You've set it up, but they have to have time to complete the task. So this is where you just sit back and watch them. Or if they're listening to a text, then sit back and watch them listen to it. If it's listening text, clearly it'll go along at a certain speed. But if it's for reading, the usual idea of reading for gist is that they don't worry about understanding everything and they just try to read it quickly to get an overall idea. So to encourage this, you might want to give them a time limit. As a rule of thumb, if you read it twice to yourself at a moderate speed, that's probably about the same time as they can read it once quickly. So you could time yourself before the class and give them a time limit based on something around that. Now, they've done the task, so the next important step is to get them to check their answers with a peer. Don't forget to do this. It's another common trainee mistake to go straight to class feedback, but peer checking is really important and there's a few reasons for that. The first thing is that it helps to build learners' confidence. If I'm not sure of my answer, but my friend's got the same answer, then I'm much more likely to answer in class feedback. And even if my friend's answer's different, then it'll make me think again about mine, and that might be useful. It's also good extra speaking practice, and it really helps to build a better classroom atmosphere when you're doing receptive skills. So for all those reasons, don't forget the peer checking. You might feel that it's somehow cheating to work with somebody, and there may well be times when you want to know what progress each individual's making. You might want to actually test them. So if that is the case, then give them a test. But probably the majority of the time it's not a test. So encourage peer checking. Finally, of course, when they've had a chance to check with their partner, you need to give clear class feedback. So gist tasks are usually short, just 1 or 2 questions usually. So this shouldn't take long. Elicit the answer from the learners, and when you're ready, move on to the second task. And we'll look at that in the next video. So I'll see you then.